Hello everybody, my name is Douse, welcome to Douse Rail and welcome to another Engage review. And pulling out of the shed today, yes, it's another Fowler 4F, but this time instead of Lima, it is the Graham Farish British Rail variant. And in she comes, and she is very, very nice. I've already reviewed the 4F on this channel. It was one of the first videos I did. It was a Lima that cost me, I think I said £35 at the time. This only cost me £48, so I was very, very pleased to pick this up. And it looks very, very nice on the rails. By Graham Farish, as I said before. It is the British Rail variant. There's a couple of ways you can tell that. Obviously, there's the logo on the tender, but also the registration is in the 4000s, whereas the LMS, when they had them, only had them arranging in 4 numbers rather than 5. So yes, this is one of 197, I think they had at one time. It was a real workhorse for LMS. And of course, they were merged into British Rail, and I think they kept going till 1966. Well, let's take a better look at it. Here is the box. It looks like a box. At one point it belonged to Roy's, and it was in decent nick, and it feels like a newer model. It does feel like one of the more newer models by Graham Farish, but as always, the box is fairly dull when you compare it to the thing we want to look at, which is this. The locomotive itself is, I think, very, very bonny, very, very detailed, because they weren't very detailed locomotives to begin with. They were black. You know, most of what was attached to them was black. But you can see the model number, you can see the locomotive number on the boilerplate. Everything else is fine. Of course, you do have the problem that you can really see the motor coming out the back of the locomotive, which means you can't really get any cab detail, which is a real shame, but the tender looks absolutely fine. That coal isn't fooling anybody, but again, looks fairly, really, actually the paintwork on this is really well held up, so I do get the feeling it's more of a newer model. And looking underneath, so yep, all the pickups are in the actual locomotive, not in the tender. The tender is there mainly for show, and sometimes helping to derail it when I had it too tight when I first got it. But yeah, a very, very bonny little locomotive, much smaller than the Lima variant. I mean, there could be some more detail on the top of the lockup, but other than that, it is very, very fine. So how does she run? Well, she's going to hook up to some, really, nearly, there we go, to some carriages, and I'm going to send her around the track. Some actual Mark IIs, I think, carriages today, which look very nice, and as you can see, she runs super well. I'm aware that chimney's on the turn, by the way. I think it was done by my cat, but there you go. She looks really nice going around the track. Sounds good as well. I've had no problems in terms of like how it's like kind of ran. As you can see, it's just really smooth. Works well at low speeds as well as high speeds, and just really looks the business. Now, my problem with this locomotive is my standard problem. I'm not a fan of that 4th, 5th era. I would prefer it to be in her original LMS livery, but she does look great, doesn't she? And for the price I paid, I think I've got an absolute bargain here. Just the only thing I think for me is the fact that the motor is so visible coming out of the cab is a little bit disappointing. I'd rather not see that at all in terms of the model detail. But you know, much more to scale than the Lima. Doesn't sound as noisy as the Lima. Doesn't have the pancake motor as the Lima. So lots of advantages. And like I say, for £48, I think I've hit the sweet spot on how much this is worth. I am seeing these go for £60 or £70 as well at the moment, but that's just how it goes. But other than that, I really think it's great value and a little bit of a bargain if you can find one yourself. Let's send her on her way. Looking very nice. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope this has been useful. If you do like this, like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.